Now, what you got there?
This guy is incredible. You've never heard lyrics like his.
Is that Billy Joel?
Billy Joel, you plonker, that is Bruce. God, you try and raise your kids right, Jay. I was there, son. 1981, Wembley Arena, Row T, the River Tour.
Don't go writing me songs like him, Jay. He's too...
Old school.
No, American. Listen, I can't be dealing with all that, born in the USA, stars and stripes. Surprised you're into it, mate.
Actually, that song's about the desperate plight of Vietnam veterans who were treated really badly when they came home.
You tell him, son.
That's a clip from Blinded by the Light. It's my pleasure to be joined by its director and co-writer, Gurinder Chadha. Hello.
Hello.
I love Bruce Springsteen. I know you love Bruce Springsteen, but tell everyone a little bit about this film and this wonderful story.
So Blinded by the Light is set in Luton. It's 1987. A lot of unemployment around, a lot of hardship. And we meet this kid, Javid, 16, really wants to be a writer. He's got a Pakistani family. The dad's been laid off from Vauxhall. Mum sews dresses at home. Parents like, writing isn't for us. Not a real job. You need to get a proper job. Go and be an estate agent. Make loads of money. That's what we need. And he's really depressed because he really wants to follow this dream. And then one day on the night of the storm, the hurricane, somebody gives him a cassette. And it's a Bruce Springsteen cassette. And he's kind of skeptical, but he puts it in. And suddenly the words and music of Bruce Springsteen help him find his own voice and help him find his own path to fulfill what he wants in life.
It's an incredibly personal story, and you first came across this obviously from reading the book.
Yes, so it's based on, Safraz Manzar's memoir, who's a journalist now, so he did become a writer.
Yes!
And Safraz and I were friends for many years because we were both big Springsteen fans. So
Is that how you guys became friends then?
Yes, because when I was at school, I had a Saturday job working at Harrods in the record department, and I was really into soul and reggae, and then in Harrods one day, this guy, English bloke, long hair, beard, said to me, "Have you ever heard of Bruce Springsteen?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm not a rocker," because I had him down as some heavy metal kind of guy. And he said, "I think you should listen to him. I think you'll like him." And he pulled out the album of Born to Run. And I was shocked because here was a white dude and a black dude being very pally with each other. And I had never come across that before, except once before. The only band at that time that had black and white people in it was Casey and the Sunshine Band. So I was intrigued by that picture because, of course, it was the 80s. There was a lot going on. In terms of race, we'd had the riots or disturbances or whatever you want to call it. And we were all trying to work out if we were British or British black, British Asian or whatever. So that album cover really spoke to me. And went home, listened to it, and I was blown away because the way the saxophone mixed with the guitar, and Bruce was very soulful. And then the words, of course, had great meaning for me.
Yeah.
And then I saw him in 1984, Wembley Arena, and for some reason I was at that concert with Paul Whitehouse.
As you are?
As you are. So it's Paul Whitehouse, myself, and Dave Cummings, who wrote Kevin and Peregrine. So we were all on chairs, going, "Tramps like us, Bruce!" And it was, no going back.
How amazing you almost had this parallel experience in terms of that connection with him as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Safraz is a super fan.
How many times? 250 times or something?
150.
Okay.
Well, there's 150 times he's seen him, and we're not counting the times when he's been hanging around hotels and cars, doing hanging around waiting for that photo. I think that for him, it was a very spiritual moment, and in many ways, Springsteen became a sort of father figure, I think, to him, and had a direct impact on his writing and in his life. For me, I also had the Specials. They were my big band, the Specials and the Clash and the Jam, and that whole period of rock against racism. That was a big period for me. But also the whole Bhangra music scene was a big thing for me in the 80s because that helped me define who I was and who I am. In fact, my very first film I made in 1989 was called I'm British But... And it's about the whole British Bhangra music scene. Hence, I put that also in the film.
The film is it's not just Javed's story. There are so many different things going on in that setting at that time, be it, with immigration, with cultural identity, with violent racism that's going on.
I mean, it's interesting. There's all these quotes that are saying a beacon of joy, a joyful film, and then there's like Nazis marching through it and stuff. I know what you mean. It sort of depends what trailer you watch, right? I think the thing is, it's very important for someone like me as a director when I make films. I am who I am. I'm British, I'm Asian, I'm female, and that conjures up all kinds of different combinations of identity, and people are always trying to put me in a box.
Yeah.
And I'm always going, no, I'm not that box. I'm much bigger than that. And so I if I'm going to talk about racism and issues and problems, for me it's very important that I also balance it out with the joy in my life and the joy in our community and the love in our community, because we're not just solely defined by those things. And often people who tell our stories who aren't from our backgrounds, that's what they do. They limit it to one kind of definition and experience because they see the problems, they don't see the joy in the way that I do. And it's sad because I'm one of the few people out there doing, making kind of content about the British Asian community. And so it feels like it's, maybe all over the place. But the reason that I can make it feel like one thing is because it's based on truth and honesty.
Well, I love that layeredness to it. That's the wonderful thing, is that it kind of, there are surprises in there, and there's journeys. You go on journeys with those characters, with those situations.
Yes,
the unexpected, can happen.
Right, but one of the reasons I think people relate to it is because it's very universal. Even though it's a British Pakistani family in Luton, that could be any family, actually. And it's also a British narrative, that we are a very mixed country, regardless of what anyone wants to say. We all have friends from different backgrounds. We eat food from all different countries. So we enjoy those narratives if they're told to us, because we see ourselves and our country in those narratives, So I think I've been experiencing it all over the world, people coming up to me and sort of shaking my hand, and so has Safraz, where people are saying the story is completely relatable because it's actually about a father and a son. And the inner story is about a father and a son trying to find a middle ground, and that's everybody's story. Everybody needs some kind of validation from their parents. Everybody's had that moment where the parents want one thing for them and they're saying nope.
There's something like 17 Springsteen tracks in the
Yes.
film. How hands-on was he, and how did you get his backing on this?
Well, when I read Safraz's memoir, he gave me the galleys. He had secretly hoped that I might find something in it because, of course, Bend It Like Beckham was a big hit. And for him, he was like, okay, she's the only person who's going to get it. And she's also a Bruce fan. And I did like his memoir. I thought it was very touching. But what he was doing was protecting his family, which I understand totally. We all do that. And he'd taken a lot of the drama out. And I said two things. I said, we need to put the drama back in. So I need to take your story and move it away from you a little bit. But at the same time, we have no film without Bruce. Unless Bruce backs us, there's nothing here. And as luck would have it, in 2010, Bruce came to London for the premiere of The Promise. And we both sat. We were waiting for him, and then he came down the red carpet, and Safraz had a copy of his book with him to give him if he managed to meet him.
Yeah.
And I was standing there with a camera, and then as Bruce came round, he spotted Safraz, who of course has stalked him, so he knows what he looks like. And he walked over, and he said, "Man, I read your book. It was really beautiful."
Oh my gosh.
And then Safraz had a meltdown.
Did you have to pick him up off the ground at that point?
He was like, "Oh my God," just like you said. He was like, "Oh my God, you read it? How did you read it? Who sent it to you?" And Bruce is like, "Oh, yeah, people send me stuff, like really cool." And then I'm sitting there, my heart, I'm having palpitations now. And I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. I've got to do a movie deal right now on the red carpet before people move him on. And I just tried to sound professional, and sadly I wasn't very professional. But I was like, Bruce, I'm going to Cheddar. I'm a film director. I'm a bit like Beckham. He went, yeah, I heard about that movie. We're really glad you're here. We love this book. We want to make a movie of this book. Will you support us? Honestly, it was like that. And he sort of looked at me and he looked at Safraz and he went, sounds good. Talk to John. And behind him was John Landau, and we exchanged contacts, and that's how the movie happened.
And was he involved at all whilst you were making it?
He read the script. He came back after we knew we had to write a script for him, and I made a movie for him, not you, not anyone else. For Bruce. So when we sent him the script, I got the message from Tracy Nurse, his manager, came back to me and said he's read it, and I said, okay, what did he think of the characters? What did he think of how we use the songs? What did he think? What did he think? And she said he said I'm all good with this, and I was like, what does that mean? Exactly. So I'm like, so does that mean I can move forward? And she said, he said, I'm all good with this. And I said, so does that mean I can use a song? Can I make the movie? And he's like, so this Tracy said, yeah. He said, I'm all good with this. So I said, so I can now go off and she said, he said, I'm all good with this. He means go and make the movie. So we started making, I raised the finance, got the movie together, and we made the movie. And I had carte blanche to use all his songs however I wanted. And at the end, of course, in my director's cut, he had no involvement. I was like, he's got to see this film before I cut, before I lock it, because he might hate the way I've done Born to Run. He might be like, what the heck is this? This is kids running around Luton singing, It's not, the big man, what a responsibility on me, because not only, am I a fan, but Bruce has such a massive legacy and massive fans all over the world. So I had to get that right. On the other hand, I was aware there were going to be people watching who weren't Bruce fans. And so the story had to stand up for them, regardless of Bruce. And then there was the whole cultural story of Javid, and I had to get that right. So I was juggling quite a lot with the music and the story. But I did take the film for him to see in New York. It was a Sunday afternoon and there was him and a few managers in the room, and I sort of sat to the side of him so I could see the wrinkles on his face, in the light. So he did smile a few times. He watched it very intensely, and then at the end there was absolute silence, and my heart sort of sank.
I would have been sick.
Yes, I was like, well, this hasn't gone how I wanted. But of course, the managers didn't want to say anything in case, they needed to hear him first. So I got up and walked to the front to put the lights on. And I was going to get my tape and scurry out in case they all needed to talk. And as I put the lights on, he walked over to me and he gave me a big kiss. And then he put his arms around me and he said, wow, thank you for looking after me so beautifully.
Oh, man.
He said, don't change a thing. And then we sat there for an hour, and this is the surrealist bit. He sat there and just went through every single thing that he loved about the movie. And I was...
want to cry.
Honest to God, I don't even know how I didn't cry. I was like, this isn't happening to me. And all I kept thinking was, I wish I could film this. I wish I could pull my phone out and do a selfie. And I was like, don't do it. Be professional.
What a wonderful story.
It was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
It tells so many different people's stories, I think.
Yeah.
And you've done a brilliant way of marrying the story, but with the music as well. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. I do feel like, as a director, I've always felt, because I never went to film school and I learned on the job, I do, as a director, feel like it's probably my best film that I've made, for all those reasons.
Well, it's because it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.